Good afternoon, my friends. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so I can be with you forever. I'm also going to be putting my email in the description, so if you want a personalized tarot reading, birth chart reading, production lessons, anything of that nature, spiritual guidance, I can also provide you with a personalized reading list for depending on where you are at in your life. Knowing which tools to get into and knowing which educational resources to tap into is very important, especially in this time when we're all very socially isolated and we need things to occupy our time, and hopefully it's through things that are productive and not, consuming fear-mongering media basically from, streaming services that are being pumped out into the world right now at a massive force. So feel free to hit me up and I can help you sort of tap into different media resources, not just in books, but even in movies and TV shows as well. And as well, I'm going to be doing a live stream on Thursday, so 3 days from now. And this is going to be a Warrior Dungeon synth album. So this is going to be very much, I'm going to be putting a lot of time into this one, a lot more. So my last streams of albums usually are like 2 to 3 hours long. This one I'm trying to aim for like a lot longer, really put a lot of time into it, and pretty much spend the whole day doing this album basically and working on it and doing it live. And it's going to be a much more rigorous process. This is a warrior album, so to speak, so I want to make sure I'm putting my all in and all my energy into this album. So be sure to tune into that. I'm going to be posting updates on my social media as to when that is. Now let's get into this topic of what this video is about, which I'm sure you're all anticipating. So this is the subject of World War III, right? We've been sort of hinting at it since the beginning of 2020, and people have been a little bit anxious, although not so much anymore. They're more anxious about this coronavirus or COVID-19, whatever you want to call it. And this sort of World War III narrative has sort of been dropped from our, mainframe conscious, so to speak. But this doesn't mean that it's still not on the table or it's still not going on in the background. There's still a potential for this, but I'm going to share my thoughts on this whole World War III phenomenon and what I think it actually is, which is the fact that we are already in the middle of World War III right now. We're already experiencing it in our own world. And what that is, it has nothing to do with the externalized world. We have to think of this as a spiritual war that's going on, and that's always going to come from ourselves, right? There is this whole notion of social distancing, self-isolation, quarantining. We're all kind of in prison right now. That's sort of the whole idea of what this whole thing is going about, and we have a choice to make while we are in this situation of being isolated from others. We can spend our times consuming media that is going to propagate our fear, that's going to turn us docile, it's going to turn us basically mad, a little bit insane. This is the other zombie apocalypse that people have been manifesting for the past decade with, shows like Walking Dead, or just this whole zombie phenomenon that's been very popularized in recent years, and that people think there's a zombie apocalypse. Well, we should understand that the apocalypse is already happening, and the apocalypse doesn't mean a literal end of the world, although it does technically mean that, but it's a new beginning of a world, right? A restructuring of the old world into the new, and that's what we're entering into. And this is World War III, and this war isn't amongst other countries or other nations or other groups of people. This is purely coming down to ourselves, right? We've for so long been so interconnected with each other and fighting back and forth on ideology, this and that, that and this. And now we're at a state where other people are irrelevant to our own development at this point. What we have to do is isolate ourselves and stay put. And now we don't have to relay information from other people. We don't have to negotiate. We don't have to interact with people. In fact, it's recommended we don't, obviously. And now we have to spend our times dealing with ourselves. So if you're like me and other people who have been delving into this process of, self-improvement and coming to terms with yourself, which I have basically been on this path since 2012, I would say, it's going to be very difficult for you. Now, for me, it's very easy. I'm not really that concerned. I'm not really losing my sense of self being alone and isolated from other people. In fact, I find this a very grounding experience, and it's, getting me more in touch with myself and being able to practice more things in my life that I've sort of ignored, and, putting in some more discipline into my physical health and in my mental health, and just learning different things. And for other people, they're kind of losing it a little bit. They're kind of getting into a chaotic mindset because they don't know how to deal with themselves and how to be alone, because they're very dependent off of other people. And this is the World War III we're talking about. And if you're not prepared to handle yourself and handle who you are going to be going through a very serious inner battle. And it's starting to happen. Like, I'm noticing quirks with people. They're starting to get weird. They're starting to get loopy. And, I've had family and friends check up on me, make sure I'm okay, which I perfectly am. I'm perfectly fine. But I recognize that they're only reaching out because they're, having issues themselves of being alone. They're dealing with loneliness. They're dealing with, this feeling like they're losing themselves, right? And this is a time where we need to realize that your sense of self, if you're feeling like you're losing yourself by being alone, this is an indicator that your entire self is based off of other people's agenda, other people's, viewpoints of the world, that you cannot stay put and be central to who you are, right? And this is a problem with a lot of people, and it's a problem that I've faced myself numerous times. Sorry. So, if you really want to move forward into your life, take this opportunity that's going to be given to you, because we're not going to be able to experience this. I'm actually very grateful that this experience is happening, that we're all isolated. This is a much better situation we could be in than if we were actually in the middle of a world war. We were actually fighting in Iran or something like that. All we have to do is stay put and deal with ourselves, right? Which on the surface seems very easy, but talk to people who have been in prison, for instance, people who have actually been in literal prison or have been in solitary confinement, right? That's a very difficult process to go through. Of course, it's not as bad because we actually have things to occupy our time with. If we're lucky, we're with other people that we get to share moments with, although that could be a hindrance as well, and they can drive us insane also. So that's another war that you might have to deal with, is dealing with other people in your life that you might not particularly enjoy spending time with. You want a perfect example of that? Watch the movie The Lighthouse. This is going to be a situation where that movie, or look at movies like The Shining, for instance, as well. We'd like to think that the social isolation or quarantining or just staying put into your house is going to be an easy process. This is a situation that could last for months, right? It's only been like a week and a half. If you're starting to lose it already, get ready for some real shit, because, it's going to stay like this for a while, and you're going to have to get used to this. So this is going to be a difficult time for a lot of people, and you're going to have to prepare yourself mentally, because you will have to face your inner demons. This is going to happen. And you're going to have to do it in the safety of your own house. And, it's going to be difficult because, despite the fact that you have things to occupy your time with, there is going to be this incentive from mass media that is going to indoctrinate you with fear and delusions. And you're going to be completely isolated from that. And that's going to be the biggest attack on yourself, is this news cycle that they're going to try to feed you into fear, right? And you're going to have to be very careful, because that's going to make you lose yourself, essentially. So keep that in mind. If you've seen the movie The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe is basically the representation of the media right now, that's going to try to make it seem like he's your friend, or make it seem like he's there, has your back, but then he's going to start gaslighting you and making you start doubting things and making you start to lose yourself until you're going insane. this is going to be a theme that's going to start popping up with people. And I'm starting to notice this, as I've mentioned before, people sort of coming out of the shadows that I haven't really interacted with, all of a sudden like messaging me or commenting things on my videos, like a really weird, distorted stuff, because they're just in social isolation. And now all of a sudden all this demonic energy that was within them that they could sort of ignore because they could feed off of other people and sort of escape from that, it's all starting to come out right now. And this is going to be a little bit of the zombie apocalypse, so to speak. People are going to start losing themselves. But on top of that, as much as there's going to be this group of people that are losing themselves and becoming super delusional and a little bit crazy, there's going to be a whole other group of people that are going to strive during this time. They're going to develop themselves. They're going to become stronger. This is why I'm doing this warrior live stream thing, because I want to promote a sense of resolve amongst people, a sense of stoicism, that in this time of social isolation, you can either spend your time losing yourself and becoming docile and scared and afraid and turned into this little creature of, like Gollum in Lord of the Rings, or you can take this time, like if you've seen Old Boy, the movie, you could take this time in quarantine and really strengthen yourself and become, powerful. And not to say that you have to, once this whole quarantine is finished in the movie, you have to go out and start murdering a bunch of people for revenge, but think of it like that. Think of this as an opportunity to train yourself. This is a moment where you're going to be isolated and you're going to have to face yourself. Or look at Vegeta in the gravity chamber, where he spends all this time trying to attain the Super Saiyan form, and he's doing this all by himself. And it's a really intense period of time for him that he's going through, that he's going to become this great warrior, and he does it all by himself, alone, trapped in this little gravity chamber for a certain amount of time. Take this time as an opportunity to grow and develop yourself and become the best person you can possibly be, not get, sidetracked by all this other external, weird shit that's being pumped at you 24/7, right? Don't feed into that. This is a very important time. You could, a lot of people could overlook the dangers of the media and the dangers of the news cycle that's being propped up, but this is a time where that is going to seriously affect you if you let it affect you. Don't even turn on the cable box. Don't even watch the news. Don't do anything. You have nothing. There's no reason to even watch it, because you're just going to become absorbed into it. And because you're not interacting with other people, that's going to be your best friend, basically, is going to be the news. It's going to be, all this crap that's basically going to suck your soul, so to speak. I don't want to be too dramatic, but that's where we're headed, and you're going to have to be careful. This is World War III that we're in, and it's not to be dramatic about it, because, like I said, this could be a very uplifting time for people, and we're all pretty much safe in our own worlds. And even if you are in a situation where you are working, because we all need people to work in this time, and they're, I'm very grateful for those people, and they're very brave people that are going out and doing their jobs regardless of the threat of this virus or of other people. And even still, they're going to have to be isolated themselves within their work environment, because it's not like they can interact directly with people. It's going to be a lot more different. And also people who are working freelance and they're having to work through conferences and Zoom calls. Zoom is becoming very big lately. It's all a lot of interconnecting with other people, but on a, by yourself, so to speak. You're not interacting with them in a physical sense. It's only on the internet, which is going to help, energize this realm more so. And people are going to have to see the value in the internet and what the internet can provide. If you're going to take this time and not see the value of the internet, aside from just the mass media and Netflix and all this other crap, then you're going to completely waste your time during this period, because you have this tool presented to you and you need to utilize it to your best advantage. The internet has everything. Everything you could possibly learn about and know about is right here. right? You don't even have to pay. All you have to do is pay your internet bill, which might even be free. You don't even know. Depending on where you live, the government might say, hey, you don't have to pay your bills this month. Great. You don't have to pay for internet. It's all free. It's all for the taking. And during this period, there is going to be an upsurge of people trying to get their message out there. So there's even more information. But this is also a dangerous part, because the more information there is, the more liars, the more deceptors, the more people that are going to try to delude you into a path that is not to your highest good. So you're going to have to be mindful of that. This is why you should take the time to really assess yourself and really take the time to, reflect upon yourself, meditate and strengthen yourself, strengthen your resolve, work on projects, work on things for yourself. Don't take this time to sacrifice yourself for this other agenda. Take this time to learn as much as you can. This is a huge period of time where we have the potential to do great things. And, I'm not afraid at all. Like, I was kind of like anxiety ridden in January when this whole coronavirus started popping up, and I was kind of like a little bit nervous. Now we're kind of in the middle of the whole thing, and I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, I feel pretty hopeful and optimistic about everything. I see people posting a lot about how they're in a bad place and they're afraid and they're scared and they're lonely, and I honestly, I don't relate to that sentiment, but I'm trying to promote positivity as much as I can, because people are having a difficult time during all this. And that's my goal on my end and what I want to provide, but I'm perfectly fine right now. And I want people to enjoy this period of time and not think of it as a dark time, although it is. But don't, it's all about your perspective of things. You can choose to look at this as a situation that's difficult and uncertain, but there is a lot of certainty right now, ironically, even though it seems like, where's the world going? Well, the world's right here. You're quarantined. You're stuck at home. You don't have to go outside. That's the reality. What is there to be confused about? This is it. So, like I said, take this time and really get invested in yourself. And, I'm going to leave it at that. Take this time. This is a great opportunity for everyone on earth to really develop themselves and become the best person that they can possibly be. And I'm taking this as a personal opportunity for myself, because this is going to be a time where people are going to be more connected on the internet more than ever, but I'm going to have to promote myself in a way where people are actually going to be listening to me. And I realize that there is a big force that is going to try to restrict me in any way, shape, or form, because they want people to be docile and to consume this media, because this is a new era of control and difficulty of maintaining control, right? If you look at it astrologically, that's what Saturn Pluto conjunction in Capricorn is all about. It's all about that separation of control, and we're entering a new phase and a new era in that sense. So it's time to recognize that, and recognize that this is a whole new cycle of how we are going to provide value for ourselves and how we see ourselves in terms of attaining a sense of self-worth. So with that, I'm going to leave it at there. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And I will see you next time. Peace.